Hello, and welcome to the Mommy Escape Time podcast. I am Lauren, your host, and I have a 1-year-old son. I started this podcast for any mother who might feel alone in their journey through motherhood. Becoming a mom is hard no matter how you get there, and this podcast is about the mom stuff that comes up in our lives. Listen, enjoy, and connect with us on the Mommy Escape Time podcast. Hello, and welcome to the Mommy Escape Time podcast. I am Lauren, your host, and I am back. It has been, I think, a month since I've been able to record and put up a podcast. So I'll probably just be catching you up on what's going on. The last time I talked, I think, was before the school year even started. And if you don't know, I am a high school teacher, special ed. And this school year is unlike any other school year. I don't know what to say. This is so not what I had thought it was going to be, even when I started the school year, even after the first week that we started school. We started school late. For some reason, we started 3 days later than we were supposed to. Just the teachers started 3 days later. And then the kids actually started 6 days later than they were supposed to. But something that's very interesting this year, which totally, to me, doesn't make any sense, but that's okay. I'm not in charge. I just follow what it is. But we are having like a certain number of days that are, if we have snow days, so in Connecticut, if it snows like more than an inch, they cancel school. But this year, they're not canceling school. We're going to be remote learning if any snow days happen this year, which is something that has not been the rule before this, but it is giving us a very specific end date to our school year, which I have never had in my entire life. Like in September, I did not know what my last day of school was going to be. So typically at the end of April, they announce when the last day of school is going to be, because that's when we can pretty much guarantee there's no more snow. So this is to begin with, it's weird to know that no matter what, this is the day that you will end school on. And this is the day that hopefully graduation will take place on. So it is quite very different. It's just very different than I had ever anticipated it to be. So there's a lot of stuff. I'm not going to talk about what my school specifically does because it changes. It changes so often, and there's just so many things that I couldn't even tell you where it was and then what it is now, and then a month from now, what that's going to look like. All I can say is that we are currently in the high school setting, we are in a hybrid mode. Now, every city or town in Connecticut is allowed to do what they want. I know for a lot of places it goes county by county, but in Connecticut, our schools are based off town by town or city by city. So each town or city had to submit their own plans about what they were going to do. They also were supposed to submit plans on if they did a hybrid model, at what point would they start going full time or have all the kids back in school. I don't know when that time is, but a bunch of schools in Connecticut have announced that after Columbus Day, that all kids are going full time all the time back to school. So I guess that's how some schools are going. We don't know at my school. Our elementary and middle schools currently are full time all the time. So it's only our high school that is part time. I don't want to say part time. That is in a hybrid schedule. My preference is that I'd rather have them all in school. But that's what I'm used to, and that's what's easiest for me. But I don't know if that's what's best for everyone. I don't really know what the answer is, and I don't get paid the big bucks to make those decisions. I can have lots of opinions, but I don't actually have to make those decisions and stand behind them. So I think that's two different things, is having the opinion and having to come up with what is going to work for everyone in one big scenario. So, what I will talk about is how I'm managing my time. And I know I did a podcast recently, and recently I mean like between March and now, about planning. And I am a huge planner. I plan months in advance. In September, typically, my at the end of September or the beginning of October, typically my mom always visits, and part of that visit is planning um, how Christmas is going to work for our family and what we're going to do and everything like that. And I know that sounds so silly that we get together to plan that because my mom doesn't live anywhere near me. But sometimes we do it over the phone, so don't get like too excited. But there's like a lot of thought that goes into a lot of things, and um, we always want to make sure to invite as many people as possible. And it's not like my mom and I are only taking care of my side of the family, so I also then have to try and do something with my husband's side of the family. So I try and balance that the way I can. So that's just an example of how much I plan. I typically plan lots of things a year in advance. When the school year starts, I plan what we're doing the following summer vacation, like what we're going to do. Not anything big, but like I try and get my husband to map out time so we can take time off to go away. So we have a plan for next summer, but every week it seems to be erased. So now we have my original plan of what we were going to do next summer and my backup plan, which kind of makes me sad that for another summer, I'm potentially making a backup plan again for what we're going to do. I'm hoping, hoping that things are going to turn around and change and be different somehow. Unfortunately, right now, it doesn't look like that. So let's talk about what I do now, scheduling wise. I, at most, plan a week in advance. That's as far out as I can go right now. With the biggest thing that I plan is food, because that's the biggest thing that I have to plan out. I go grocery shopping on Tuesdays with my son. Currently, we are now shopping at Walmart. That is the easiest thing, because then if I have to get any like non-food items, I can also get them at Walmart. For some reason, we seem to be like all our batteries seem to be going out in everything right now, and we have a lot of rechargeable batteries, but I don't know where they all went, because every time we go to change batteries, they're not rechargeable, which I never remember. I just don't know where all these rechargeable batteries are because we're not finding them in anything. So it's kind of hard because everything is in battery life when you don't have it. The most important thing are your remotes for the TVs. And it seems like every time we go to turn on a TV that there's an issue with the remotes, with the batteries. So Walmart is working out the best. It's still like the furthest away. It takes us about, right now, one of the roads to get there is under construction. So it takes us about 20-25 minutes to get there. So not ideal. Half the time I think I should just drive the 25 minutes up to Trader Joe's instead of going to Walmart. But for now, I'm going to Walmart. It's just easiest for me, and they have everything. So they have the best selection and stock. I know I've talked a lot about us being out of random items. For some reason, today at Walmart, the thing that was out was tea. Like, I'm not saying like one or two brands was out. I'm talking about like 30 to 40 like tea brands were out. Like there were 3 boxes of tea on the shelves total. And this is like a super Walmart. So it's one of the biggest Walmarts actually that Walmart has. Um, so they're like not really out of things a lot. And they were, I mean, just there was no tea. Like, what was the tea emergency this week? Like, what was happening that all teas of all brands were out? It's just, I like, my mind can never wrap around the things that are not in the store, how they got that way. So, anyway, so the biggest thing that I prepare every week are my meals. My meals, what I'm going to feed my family, what my son is going to bring to daycare. If I could ever give up one total task, it would be packing my son's lunch up and my lunch for work every day. It is like so time consuming, so much work, especially during pandemics and how much extra washing I have to do on everything. There are some people that would have just, five. I can't just have five containers for my son's stuff. If it has to go into the microwave, that has to go in one container. If he's eating it for lunch, it has to be in a different container. If he's just going to eat it for snack, it needs to be in a different container. So I have like 8 containers that have to go to his school every day. So it takes a long time. So the most amount of days I can get packed is 2 days at a time because I'm not going to buy 45 containers because then it's just too complicated. And it's too many containers. Like we only need them when he's in school. So like when eventually he will go to kindergarten. Um, so he won't need everything in a separate container and it's only for a small amount of time. And honestly, the packing up of it isn't the hard part. It's the planning and getting the time to pack up his lunch is the biggest issue. So right now, I don't know, I get home from work anywhere between 3 and 4:30 with my son, um, because sometimes we'll run out and do errands or just there's so many other things that you do after work sometimes. And some days I have to work later. So, you know, in the afternoon, I get out of work and go get my son. And then typically my husband watches him for an hour while I try and get some sort of dinner together and prep all the food for the following day or days. And that's about as much preparation as I can handle right now. I really do take it one day at a time. At work, I have to take it like one day at a time. I plan one day and I get to the next day and I just have this running list of all this stuff that I need to do. And some days it's harder than others. I think days when I have meetings at the end of the day, it's much harder on me. I just have a very odd schedule this year, and I've never had a schedule like this before. So I think it's just very complicated for me right now. So that's all. It is what it is. So um, I have no idea how parents do it. A lot of parents have said what their frustrations were last year with being at home and how they're going to work with their kids and how is this all going to work and how we can help them and it's complicated. I It's hard on everyone. So and it's very hard on the technology. So let's talk about more happy things. So this past weekend, my husband's whole family came, and we were able to go apple picking, and that was like a good activity because we could all be outside and wear masks when needed to, and not wear masks, so we could actually like visit for part of the time, and it was just like a fun activity to do. It was nice to have all the cousins together, and we're just trying to get together like maybe once a month or once a month, hopefully between now and the end of the year. Um, since next month is October, hopefully we can do something. November, hopefully Thanksgiving we'll be together. And then hopefully in the December time, in the Christmas time, hopefully we'll be able to get together. So that is our goal for that. And one of the big things that I got to do this weekend was I got to cook. My mother in law was here so she could watch my son a little more, and I got to cook. And it was chilly here. I think the low was in the 30s. We had our first frost, and the high was like 60 degrees, and it was windy most days. So it was such good weather for the weekend. It was so nice, and I love to cook. Like, I love making things from scratch. I like making my own bread. I like making my own pasta. I like everything. So, I had planned when my mother in law was here, I follow this woman, Half Bake Harvest, online, and I don't, um, how am I going to say this nicely? I don't normally follow people who cook, and I don't normally follow people who are super skinny that cook. Um, because I don't trust that they actually then eat their recipes. But I also understand that everyone's metabolism is different and everyone, does things a little differently. Her job is to cook, so, you know, she still can come up with good recipes. So I get a lot of stuff from Half Bake Harvest all the time. And one of the things that she had posted the other day was these cinnamon sugar French toast sticks. And I like love Burger King French toast sticks, so I was like, I'm gonna try and make these because at least I know all the ingredients and I'm making them on my own. And you can the cinnamon sugar like coating on it, you could decide how much was going to be on it. So that made me feel a little better, although I put on a lot. So it was just so fun. I woke up early on Saturday morning. I didn't wake up early. I actually got to sleep in. If you don't know, I get up at very early in the morning to work out before I go to work. Um, and as a high school teacher, we start super early in the morning. So I get up in the 4 o'clock range, let's just say, to work out before I go to work. So it felt like sleeping in because I slept in till like 6 or 6:30 that day. And I got up and I had prepped a lot of what I needed to do for the French toast sticks the night before. So all I had to do was dip them, put them in the oven, and whatnot. So I had it all made before my son was awake, which was my like hope. I always like think about like how I want to be one of those mothers who on the weekends has is already like everyone wakes up to the cooking and comes downstairs for the breakfast. Not every weekend, but you know, sometimes. So I made that, and then I do like an overnight bread, which it's like a no knead bread. So you just make it the night, you just stir the four ingredients in water, flour, yeast, salt the night before. And then you can bake it in a Le Creuset pot in the oven the following day. And it just gives you a nice round loaf of bread. And I love that. That's like my favorite thing to make. And then I make soups. I made a broccoli and cheddar soup that I got off Half Bake Harvest. That's supposed to be like the Panera redo recipe that's more healthy. And I like the idea that it might be healthier, but 3 cups of cheese and soup, never healthier than no cheese soup. But I love my cheese, so I totally added at least 3 cups. And they both, I made a tomato soup too, and they both came out really well. So, um, and then I typically make a sweet and sour chicken with fried rice every Saturday night for our family. And then I made apple crisp with some of the apples that we made. So that was just Saturday. So I made all 3 meals, every part of the meal, and I just love that. If I could do that every day, that is what I would do. I would try out new recipes. I would come up with new ideas. I think that's the hardest part. There's so many people who are like, give me some new recipe ideas. I try and keep like a folder of all my recipes and go to them when I can. And once I found them online, I try them once, and then if I like them, then I handwrite them out on like a card, um, just so starts getting into my memory of what it is, and then I don't need to use my phone when I'm cooking the whole time. I could just look at the recipe card. Then on Sunday, I made apple muffins, which I kind of stressed about making these apple muffins for like a week because I really was trying to find a recipe that wasn't all sugar, which is like impossible. And so I just used my regular muffin recipe that I normally put blueberries in, and I tried to do it with the apples, and it did not work out as well. So, whatever. My husband and I are just eating them, and it's fine. But my son does not like them. And then I didn't make anything for lunch on Sunday, but then I did make Italian bread loaves. The first time I made it, I totally messed up. Yeast is like the most finicky thing. So I made 3 loaves and they never rose, and I cooked them and they never cooked because it just didn't work out. So then I had to throw them out and I started again, and I this time did not use too hot of water to add, and I don't think I burned the yeast this time, and I was able to cook them. I still think that it takes more time than my recipe is saying that it takes to cook the dough. Um, the bread, it says like 18 to 24 minutes, and I'm thinking it's closer to 30 minutes. Um, but anyway, so we used one loaf, and I was able to make it garlic bread. And that's normally what I make. We don't normally just have like an Italian bread with butter, but I was able to freeze 2 loaves, so that helps. I made my own sauce, which at the end of the day, if you buy crushed tomatoes or even like tomato sauce in the can, you're just adding some seasoning, and maybe an onion and garlic, and you're all set. So I try and do it when I can. I'm not like 100% always making my own sauce, but I try and make it in the winter a lot. A lot of times I make my own spaghetti and meatballs on Sunday nights. That's pretty common in our house. So I do try and make our own sauce when I can. And I wasn't planning on making our own spaghetti, but my husband asked for it. So of course I made it. Um, and then my husband did help me make some of the meatballs also. So that was helpful. Um, and that was the weekend of cooking, and I enjoyed every second of it. If I could make my own pasta all the time, there are two things I would like to conquer in the next year or two cooking wise. And the first thing is to really understand bread and cooking of bread and how to make all different types of bread and how to best cook bread in the right pans. And I don't always have access to the right pans, so I'm trying to like come up with what those pans are so that for like Christmases and birthdays, if people ask me because they want to buy me specific things, then I have that answer for them. But that is my goal, is that I want to like really understand bread and then really, really understand how to make pasta. Like I know how to make the basic pasta stuff, but I want to, and I guess I could make ravioli because I know how to make the lasagna noodles and whatnot. So you can make ravioli from that. But like I really want to, that's where I really want to focus my time on for cooking. I'm trying to find some like online cooking classes. I know this sounds odd, but I'm looking for like the chemistry of cooking. Like I need to learn the chemistry of cooking so that I can adjust the recipes how I know how to do them. Like I know how to do stuff with like vegetables and like meat, well, with like chicken and stuff like that, but I don't, red meat is not really my forte, so I'm, not that we need to eat a lot of red meat, but just for some variety of meats, I'm just trying to like learn better how to cook that and just learn better how to cook pretty much everything. But I think the best way to describe it is I want to know the chemistry of cooking, like what everything does, how like I understand cornstarch makes it thicken. I always mix up baking soda and baking powder. I know that there's some trick to that, but one rises, one does something else. But I just want to like learn all those things. I don't need like techniques on like how to chop or things like that. So like that's not the stuff I'm looking for. So if anyone knows of any of like those online classes or even like YouTube stuff that is good, I haven't found anything that's great yet. So I don't know. And then the last thing I will talk about is one of my other podcasts got me into this. I am not into like Dancing with the Stars or anything like that. And I've never watched it, even though I'm totally into Melissa Rycroft, who was a former bachelorette or on The Bachelor and won, but also did not win. Um, but one of my podcasts that I listened to for Disney, she was talking about things that she enjoyed, and she was talking about things on Netflix and things on podcasts. And I didn't listen to what she enjoys on podcasts because I'm afraid to pick up another podcast. I have like 8 that I'm trying to listen to, and when I go back to school, I have zero time to listen to any of them. So I'm like, I can't pick up any more podcasts. But she talked about how she really liked Selling Sunset on Netflix, and I am like totally obsessed with it. I already finished season 1 in like 2 days. Um, Granted, I was cooking a lot, so I had a lot of time to have stuff on in the background. But I didn't think I would like it. But I guess one of the people on Selling Sunset, she had a very public divorce. I think her name is Rochelle, and she is now on Dancing with the Stars. So I'm not really into Dancing with the Stars, but I kind of want to see her now on Dancing with the Stars, especially after hearing all the backstory on her. Like, she's like the kind of person that every woman wants to like go for and vote for and is on her side about stuff. So, and of course, she's gorgeous. It is so funny living on the East Coast and watching what people care about their houses in Hollywood and the Valley of Los Angeles. Um, it's just so weird what people how different it is in our country and what the values are in for houses, because like where I live, it's land. People want land. So, and we're talking about a place. I'm watching a show about a place where there's no land and people are like building on top of each other. Um, so it is. I just got like so obsessed with that show. I want to be done with this podcast so I can go and keep watching right now. And the other thing I got really excited about that I haven't finished is that Whitney Port has, who used to be on The Hills and then had her own reality television in the city, if you are around my age, which is 38. Um, but Whitney Port was really big. She has a podcast and she had Lauren Conrad come on her podcast. And I did. I'm not 100% done. I'll say I'm 25 minutes done and it's like 35 minutes long. I am not quite done. It's nice to hear them talk back and forth, and there was some good video. If you follow Whitney on Instagram about it, and it was just like nice to see them kind of talk back and forth. Um, what I did not like about the podcast is every 5 minutes, not exaggerating, every 5 minutes there was a promotional or commercial, and that drives me insane. It first of all, podcasts like I never had podcasts that ever had ads in them. Like almost, I would say very few podcasts had um, ads embedded into them. Sometimes podcasts would start off and like in the first 5 minutes, they while they're doing their like blah blah blah, hello, I'm blah blah blah, and this is sponsored by whatever. But this was literally stopping their recording and editing in this commercial. And it wasn't like 10 seconds or 30 seconds. These were 2 minute commercials. So you're talking about a podcast that's 36 minutes long and that is over 10 minutes of commercials. I mean, that's really bad. I know that her Whitney Port's podcast is With Wit, and her podcast is like owned by a group. So a lot of like celebrities, their podcasts are owned by production companies and things like that. So they get them all these ad space and things like that, which is fine. It's just that's not what podcasting is supposed to be about. Podcasting is just supposed to be like radio shows that you're listening to whenever they're convenient for you. So I will warn you, if you do want to hear that interview, be prepared that there's no flow to the episode because it's all ads. I've never listened to a Whitney Port podcast before, so I don't know if that it's always like that or if it was specifically because she had a big star, Lauren Conrad, on that's why there were so many commercials. But no podcast should have that many commercials. I think if you have one at the beginning and one in the middle, that's even excessive. And I listen to the Office Ladies podcast, which is Pam and Angela like rehashing old Office episodes. And I think that their advertisement is out of control. Like they must make a minimum of $20,000 each per episode just from the reading what they are online for their ads, because sometimes they're 5 minutes long. And I just I don't understand how you can have a 5 minute advertisement in a podcast. So anyways, this podcast obviously does not have any ads. That's not my thing. I would only do a sponsored ads at the beginning. I would never I don't want to say never because I never say never, but I never want to add lots of advertisements in. I'd rather own my own podcast and have control over it than have a media company tell me I have to put in all these ads to try and make, small amounts of money just to keep it alive. So, all right, so I will end my show with something that I love about my son. One thing that I absolutely love is when we went to Walmart to go grocery shopping, I started putting things in my cart. And the first thing my son said to me, he goes, "Mommy, where's your list?" And he kept pointing to my purse where I hold my grocery store list. And he was right. I had it in there. And he held it and he likes to pretend that he is reading off of it. And half the time he is at least saying the things that I need to buy, even though he can't read them. And it's just hilarious. And he's about 2.5 now. I know in my intro it says that he's 1. One day I'm going to have to change that, but it probably won't happen until Christmas. So don't get excited about that. Anyways, I hope everyone is having a good week. I hope you are all surviving however your education is working for your children. And I wish you luck. It's hard. It's so hard. So I don't know. Let's just hope that things can turn around soon. So everyone stay safe and I will talk to you soon. Bye.